It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition, and it lies between the pit of man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call shots. Higher, further, faster, Todd. Isn't that the tagline?
It is the tagline, but I was like, I knew in my heart that's how you were going to open this too. With that low
I was
energy.
trying to think of something.
Yeah.
Think of some creative way to intro our discussion about Captain Marvel. the latest Marvel Cinematic Universe entry. First off, though, if you guys have never listened to an episode of Shots is our movie and TV kind of review show. If you've never listened to an episode before, what we do is we spend a little bit of time talking about the movie or TV show in question in a kind of non-spoilery context, and then we do a clear spoiler warning, and then we spend the rest of the review talking about the movie or TV show in full spoiler context. So, non-spoilers, Todd. Captain Marvel, the latest MCU adventure. What are your thoughts?
It's a very, very aggressively okay movie.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't know if that's how you feel about it, but it's just aggressively okay for me.
And you kind of came. I know you came into a kind of low expectations.
I wonder if I had higher expectations for it. Like, I wonder how it would have felt for me. Because I know it would have disappointed the shit out of me. But here's the thing: I went into that movie with very, very low expectations.
Yeah, I sort of came out of it feeling like, man, that was good.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was like, I mean, it was all right. It was good, I guess. I was like,
I'll be honest with you, and again, we're not talking about spoilers yet, but coming out of this, because this definitely is like an origin story, right?
Yeah, without a doubt.
It's probably my least favorite Marvel origin story movie.
I definitely agree with that. When
you're thinking about like Doctor Strange or like Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, even Black Panther, like all these origin movies, these Marvel origin movies sort of follow rigid blueprints, and this one is no different. But like in terms of all of those, it's probably my least favorite. I'm not trying to say that it's bad.
Why do you think it's that? Why do you think it's one of the weakest? Like is that going to be more for spoiler talk?
No, I can definitely talk a little bit about it without spoiling. I don't think it is a major spoiler to say that the way that this movie is framed, the plot of this movie is framed with a storytelling mechanic that I've never been a fan of, and that is the amnesia mechanic.
Ah, yes.
Never been a fan of that.
The amnesia and the flashback bullshit.
Never liked that. Almost never works for me, first of all, in movies. Like, it just, I think it's a lame storytelling device. I don't like it. I don't like and if there is amnesia, there better be a damn good reason for there to be amnesia, and I don't think this movie really pays that off that well.
No, not at all.
This movie does... here's the thing. This movie has a lot of really good parts to it. So, like, it takes place in the 90s. There's a lot of, like, 90s references and stuff that I'm a really big fan of. A lot of, like... the 90s is my era, dude.
Yeah.
I love the 90s. I love the music of the 90s. I love the visuals. I mean, you see, troll dolls and the movie almost opens with like a Blockbuster video, you know what I mean? So I'm all about that shit, right? So like I love that all totally worked for me, but and I like Captain Marvel as a character. I like Brie Larson just fine as Captain Marvel. She didn't blow me away. I kind of wanted her to blow me away,
Here's the thing. I've been saying this from the get-go, from just the trailers. You don't watch trailers. I still do.
Right.
Even from the trailers, she just never did anything for me. I'm like,
it's. I like her, but she just didn't like when you watched like Doctor Strange. I was sold on Benedict Cumberbatch immediately.
Instantly.
Immediately. Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. That's a synonymous. He is that character. You know what I mean? and just I don't know. There's just something about her, like I like her, like she's good, she's fine, but she does not like instantly like. There's almost like a lack of confidence. And Brie Larson's a great actress, but there's I don't know. I almost felt like she felt a little like unsure of herself in the role a little bit. I don't know. Like I liked her, but I didn't love her. You know what I mean? Yeah. It also does another thing that kind of annoys me with and you know, this is towing the line, but I'm not going to spoil anything, but it does that kind of like that storytelling trope where it does the kind of like bad guy twist, you know?
Yeah.
Like the, you know, without spoiling anything, the sort of like it's sort of like you think one thing's happening and then it just completely turns the table around. It's just kind of like, you know. Doesn't really work. The parts are good. Samuel L. Jackson is great in the movie. Like the Nick Fury shit is all great.
Yep.
Can I just say the cat or the Flurkin goose?
The Flurkin, yes, absolutely incredible.
Completely steals the show.
It's funny is that's actually the first thing I said when we got in the car after the movie. I said, "Well, that cat was the best part of that movie."
Completely steals the show. I thought the little girl was great too.
Oh yeah.
The kid, she was great, and I just I walked out of it just kind of going like, eh.
It's an aggressively okay movie.
I'll be honest with you, dude. Like my wife and I, when we first came in, and we kind of sat down. Like the movie opens with, again, no spoilers, but it kind of opens with like straight. Like they don't ease you into it at all. It's boom, you're right in the middle of these sort of like intergalactic conflict.
Yeah.
And I found the first like 10 minutes or so of this movie, and basically until she goes to Earth, I found it so boring. Like
I did not even give a shit. Like,
I was almost nodding off.
Dude, I honestly I didn't care until she got to Earth. I'm like, all right, now this is where the story I guess begins.
Once she got there and they really started kicking into high gear with it, and like we started to really kind of see the Skrulls in action, which look, it's really cool to see the Skrulls, you know, on the big screen and stuff like that, and to see them kind of, you know, and they make good use of them, you know, they make good use of the Skrulls and the sort of the terror of having a shape-shifting menace walking among us and stuff like that. You know, they do a good job with that stuff, but it just sort of like, I don't know, man, it like, again, there are parts of it. Like, if you take a bunch of individual parts, there are things that I liked about it. But when I think about the movie as a whole, I ended up coming away from it just being like, all right, yeah. You know, yeah, that was good.
Yeah, like, so I've been thinking about the movie. I saw it way before you.
Yeah, I just saw it today.
I've been thinking about it where I would, like, place it on our official ranking.
Right.
And a part of me is like... Originally, I was going to say it's pretty halfway, but honestly, it might be lower than that.
I honestly think, and again, maybe I'd have to see the movie again, but, you know, fresh out of the theater, like I said, I literally just saw it. I don't like it as much as Black Panther.
Exactly, like Black Panther is a way better movie.
I don't like it as much as either of like the Ant-Man movies. Like if I'm thinking of the kind of like lower tier,
so
Marvel
that's what
movies.
I'm saying. It's a pretty low tier movie, and it's just like. Damn sure.
Like, I don't like it. Like, we had kind of controversially, we had Civil War kind of like low on our ranking or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I think Civil War is a better movie than this.
Ooh,
you know, like
that's some real shade right there because you are I like Civil War a little more than you. So
yeah. So I just honestly like I'm not saying that it's like shit. It's not like Thor: The Dark World.
Oh no, we're not going that far. But it is honestly, a C tier ass Marvel movie.
But it is definitely towards the bottom. I mean, I'm not saying I hate it. I can't stress that enough. I can talk about the negatives or whatever, and like I always feel bad whenever I talk about the negatives of a movie because I feel like I'm just taking a massive steaming shit on something. I don't hate it at all. I liked it. I thought it was fine. It was good. You know what I mean? But it just was not... It was the first time walking out of a Marvel movie in recent memory, I was like, yeah, that was a little bit of a miss for me.
Exactly.
A little bit of a miss.
That right there is my exact reaction to when I got out of the theater.
You know, and there's things that I'll get more into in the spoiler section. Ultimately, here's the real question. Do you think that would you recommend people go see it?
Yeah, I would. Just here's the thing. Like at this point, if you are invested in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the MCU, yeah, you're gonna see it. I don't give a shit. You can talk all that shit, but you're gonna see it because it's like you want to know a little more about the character that apparently is probably gonna come in Endgame.
Yeah, once you're part of the cult, you just have to go to every cult meeting now.
Exactly.
Basically.
It's like, and I don't want to like just watch. Like, if I didn't see this movie, I'm gonna watch Endgame, and this fucking character is gonna be in the movie, and it's like, who the fuck's this?
I gotta be honest with you though, if they had done that, if there had never been a Captain Marvel movie and Captain Marvel just showed up as a side character in Endgame,
it would have been like Black Panther, and it would have probably been cooler. Actually,
I think she actually would have been cooler if they had just done that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to throw shade. And look, let's address the elephant in the room. This is an important movie for women who are Marvel fans. This is the first, this is the first sort of standalone female-led Marvel movie, and we have to acknowledge that.
Yeah, well, we won't take that away from it. That's whatever. It's important for that reason.
But I look at something like, say, a Wonder Woman, which is a fucking phenomenal superhero movie.
Mm-hmm.
A fantastic superhero movie, which does not have... And this movie didn't, like, beat you over the head with the girl power stuff, but more so than Wonder Woman did, for sure.
You know what? It's funny. Is like, my sister didn't care for some of the shit.
There was a little bit of, like...
Well, that's the thing, I don't know, my sister's all about that, like, shit, like that, kind of like that empowered sort of woman sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, she talked about it a little bit, like, when we got out of the theater, we were at home. She's like, I didn't really care for it, because the whole, like, she in a way, she felt like it was pandering.
I think there's a little bit of that. I think they could have gone worse with it if they wanted to.
Oh, no, they definitely could have.
But I mean, look, the movie was released on International Women's Day.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to take anything away from the movie for its importance. Just like Black Panther, right? I'm like, I understand how important this movie is, and I'm glad it exists. But I just wish it were a better movie.
Here's the thing. Like, it's like, it's a kind of a, I don't want to say it's annoying, 'cause I'm going to sound like an asshole, but it's like, these are the movies that are going to get awards when there are way better, like, MCU movies that just get like completely passed over.
Yeah, I don't think we should give these movies, like, I'm not going to sit here and, like, have my opinion of Captain Marvel elevated simply because of its importance. I can acknowledge, just like when we reviewed Black Panther.
Exactly.
I can acknowledge all day long how important that movie is and how much I respect it for existing. But I'm not going to give it a pass just because of that. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's Black Panther's not the best Marvel movie, guys.
No, and like, there is some shit in there where it's like, there's a moment where there's a flashback with Carol and her friend. I can't even remember the friend's name, and she's like, oh, let's go show these boys who's boss or something like that. And there's that moment with the male pilot who's like, there's a reason they call it the cockpit.
Yeah. That shit felt forced as hell.
There's a few things like that, but it's not, like Wonder Woman had, to my knowledge, maybe I'm misremembering. I haven't seen Wonder Woman in a while, but I think Wonder Woman, and I'm not trying to directly compare the two movies, but I think it is a fair comparison. They're both female-led superhero movies that are both kind of progressive in that way. Wonder Woman had, I think, one line that was sort of like anti-male establishment, where she says something like, something akin to like, we just need you, like, we don't need you guys for pleasure, just reproduction kind of thing. Where she's with Steve Trevor on the boat. She's like, we only use men for reproduction, not for pleasure. Other than that, I don't think there's any kind of like talk like that. And
I feel like there may have been. God, it's been a while since I watched Wonder Woman.
Maybe I'm misremembering.
I feel like there may have been some shit like when they're in like the briefing room.
Maybe I'm misremembering, but whatever the case may be, the sort of like anti-male establishment thing, I don't think Captain Marvel overdoes it, but it was a little bit like, some of it was a little, like you said, some of it felt maybe a little forced.
Yeah.
Could have been worse, I guess, but, it is what it is. I don't know, man. I liked these sort of like intergalactic stuff. I'll tell you what, Dan was telling me as he saw it like opening night or whatever, and he's like, this movie reminds me a lot of Thor 1. And walking out of it, I was like, I kind of wish this movie did remind me more of Thor 1.
I don't get that, honestly.
Because the thing that I liked so much about Thor 1, and I'm a big fan of like fish out of water sort of stuff. Like, it still gets me whenever Thor like throws that cheap diner mug on the ground. He's like, another. Yeah. I love that shit. I wish there was more of that. You know what I mean? Like, I wish there was more stuff like that where Carol, she just sort of like comes to Earth and like it's not even like, there's not even really any convincing she has to do to like prove herself. It's like she lands on Earth, says this ridiculous stuff is happening, and within seconds she's proven right. There's no conflict. Yeah. Like, there's no conflict there. She's not having to like convince anybody that anything's real or not real, because it always kind of proves itself to be true. And I don't know, I think that just causes the movie to be a little bit stale. There is another sort of narrative device that is written into the plot very early on, which is called a ticking time bomb, where they sort of have a time limit of like, okay, this is happening in X amount of hours. Yeah. Right. So like that's also, there's a lot of like tropes. This is a very trope heavy script. And that's sort of, I don't know, that just sort of felt a little weak to me. It felt kind of like just a little cookie cutter. Like a little cookie cutter with certain elements that make it feel more unique than it probably was. Yeah. I don't know. I think that's about the most I can say without crossing into spoiler territory. I will say this. Like we said earlier, I do still recommend you go see the film. I think that if you're on board for the Marvel stuff, you sort of have to. I'll say this, one of my favorite parts of the movie, and I can say this without spoiling it, are the ways in which it sets up future MCU movies. Because this movie does take place in the 90s. There are things that it sets up, and it's kind of cool to see. Yeah. I'll say that, and I don't want to spoil anything. I'll talk more about it in the spoiler section, but, before we cross into spoilers, go see Captain Marvel. I have issues with it. I still recommend it. I think you sort of owe it to yourself to see it, just to kind of stay abreast with the, just kind of keep updated with the Marvel stuff. So, worth seeing even if it's a little weak. Todd, are you ready to cross into spoilers?
Oh, yes.
So the first thing I want to mention, now that we're in spoilers, spoiler warning, everybody. If you haven't seen the film, go back. Go watch it and come back. So the first thing I want to mention here in the spoiler section, so I knew coming into this that they were going to have to explain how Nick Fury lost his eye, right?
Now, the fact that it was the cat, it's one thing, but the Flurkin, whatever the fuck. Yeah. What was hilarious was just when it was like Coulson is like, oh, is it true? Like the Kree burned your eye out or some shit?
That's what I love about it. I love that it was something as innocuous as getting it scratched by an alien cat, but then he makes it sound more badass, right? Yeah. There's all these rumors. He's like, I can neither confirm nor deny.
But it's funny. He's like, and then it's like you think back to the line from fucking Winter Soldier.
What's the line from Winter Soldier? I don't remember.
I trusted somebody once, or some shit.
Oh, is that a thing? And
dude, you don't remember that shit?
No, I don't remember that.
Dude, it's when he shows his eye, like it's the whole thing with his eye.
That's funny.
Yeah, some shit like that.
So he's, I guess he's referencing the cat.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I wonder if they thought that through, or if that was like
they probably just bullshitted it. It just happened to work out, honestly.
Yeah. I will say this. So I got to talk about the Stan Lee stuff. Obviously, that's not something.
That's actually the one thing I didn't want you to ruin for yourself, because I'm gonna be dead ass. I teared up.
Yeah, I knew nothing about it. The intro. I'll say this: the beginning sequence got me, where it was, instead of the typical like showing all the superheroes, it was showing the various Stan Lee cameos.
Yep, that shit got me.
And I was already kind of like choking up a little bit, but then when it said "Thank you, Stan," I was like, "You motherfuckers!"
Yeah, I was like sitting there tearing up. I was like, "These motherfuckers!"
But then when you get the actual Stan Lee cameo later on, that was a pretty cool Stan Lee cameo. That's definitely one of the better ones. Yeah, I was a little surprised because like he's sitting there, as you know, he's sitting there on the bus as Carol's walking by, and he's practicing his lines, reading the Mallrats script. Mm-hmm. Right. I'm almost surprised. Have you seen Mallrats?
Yeah.
So, like, in that movie, he's got a full beard and everything. I'm a little surprised they didn't just CG the beard on him. You know? Maybe they would have felt like it was, like, a little disrespectful or something. Like, posthumously or whatever.
Maybe.
But I was a little bit like, you know, they could have made it look like he was actually going to film Mallrats. I mean, he looks 20 years older, you know? I loved that, speaking of the bus, I love that scene. It always gets me whenever there's some sort of, like, you know, some sort of grandma fight in movies.
It's always good.
But you know, I was tiptoeing around this earlier. I find it so fucking lame. Like, the whole Kree and Skrull thing, like, I like the Kree, I like the Skrull, I like that we get the focus on the Skrull, but it's like, you know, halfway through the movie, it's like, oh, by the way, the Skrulls are just misunderstood, and the Kree were really the bad guys.
Yeah, I mean, I already kind of saw that shit happening, but it's like,
it's
whatever.
Fucking stupid. It should not.
It's dumb as shit, but
like, I hate that it's that black and white. Like, I wish they would have presented both sides. Like, they should have said, like, oh no, like the Kree are misunderstood, and this is why the Kree are doing this. They don't really present both sides of the argument.
No, they really just show the Skrulls' point of view, not the
They show the Skrulls' point of view, and it almost feels, I don't know if they're meaning to go for this or not, and I'm not trying to, like, get too political with this episode of the podcast or anything, but, like, it almost feels like they're towing that line of, like, trying to tell a refugee kind of story, like an immigration refugee kind of thing.
I mean, you can definitely pull that from that, honestly.
It was a little bit like, I was like, this is a little much right now. And then also, you know, and it bums me out for multiple reasons because A, you know, they're trying to make it like this big revelation, like, oh shit, the Kree are actually the bad guys, when you have no time to get to know any of those characters. So it doesn't really matter when she ends up having to, like, fight them. There's no emotional backdrop to it whatsoever.
I genuinely was like, all right, I guess he's whooping their ass now. Okay.
There's no emotional backdrop to it whatsoever. There's no emotional, there's no connection to any one thing. Like, everything feels so, it just feels like there's a wall of glass between everything in the movie. Everything feels like so disconnected. We don't spend enough time with any one thing, you know? And then also another really annoying thing that happened for me was, like, at the end of the movie, she's basically just like, all right, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to stop the war between the Kree and the Skrulls, and I'm going to find the Skrulls a new home planet or whatever. I'm like, okay, is that just going to be like what happens in Captain Marvel 2, or are we actually going to see that, or what?
You're right.
Like that's kind of a shitty cliffhanger. Don't just tell me the plot of your next movie. Like, just tell me, like, that's kind of shitty. I kind of wish that we'd either just, like, saw what you were doing in, like, a montage or something like that, or, like, you know, that's kind of a bummer. Like, is that just supposed to be? Are you just trying to explain why you weren't there for any of these conflicts in the first place?
I'm assuming there's going to be, like, a shitty line in, like, Endgame.
Yeah.
About it. Oh, why weren't you here before?
I was a little busy with the Kree and Skrull war. We weren't that fucking busy because guess what? Like, Ronan the Accuser, which, by the way, it was cool to see Ronan in this movie.
Oh, yeah, it's good shit.
But, like, he was fucking with the Guardians. Like, so you didn't really have that, you didn't have that bad of a grip on him. You and the Guardians never bumped into each other, and here you are, with a sort of, like, a Kree renegade. You know, Ronan the Accuser, he was the main villain of the first Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys never bumped heads even once. So, I don't know. It just feels like a little, like, a little ham-fisted. Like, a little bit like trying to explain too much with one character.
Yeah.
I did like the little bit at the end where Nick Fury's like the Protectors Initiative, and then he sees the picture of Carol that says Carol Avenger Danvers.
Yeah.
And he changes it to be the Avengers Initiative.
That's fine.
Thought that was fine. You know, I liked all that stuff. All that build-up stuff. The stuff with the Tesseract. Now, here's where I think the meat of the conversation needs to come from. What do you think that means? Do you think that they're putting that in there specifically to set up the future movies? Or do you think that are they trying to say something about her relation to the Infinity Stone? Because a lot of people are having theories like because she is, like, directly linked with the Tesseract, like she's gonna have some sort of like in with the Infinity Stones.
Well, I mean, again, I just feel like it's similar to like Scarlet Witch in this movie.
Right.
That's because they both got their powers in a way because of the Infinity Stones.
Right.
I think the stone that gave Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch in the MCU is was it the Mind Stone?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, so it's the Mind Stone and the Space Stones giving her power. I mean, which is interesting. It's an interesting pool to like have that give them their powers. I don't know.
Do you think
they could easily do some shit?
Do you think that's going to come into play with Endgame at all, though? Like, do you think
here's the thing? It'd be interesting. I don't know if they're going to do it.
Because what I really don't want, even though we know that, of course, we saw the post credits of Infinity War. Nick Fury summons her with his like 2-way pager, which it was cool to see that set up and everything. And then we see in the end credits of this one that she pops in, like, after it all is said and done and stuff like that. And she actually does answer the call and stuff. And, Captain Marvel will return in Avengers Endgame, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That's all well and good. But I'm just sort of like, I really hope that they don't do the thing where, like, she just kind of shows up and just saves the day.
This is my... Thank you. I was going to get to this. I don't want her to be the main reason they win.
Yeah, the Deus Ex Machina.
We have a 10-year relationship with some of these characters. I don't want the fucking character that got a fucking movie like a month ago. Like basically a month before Endgame comes out. Like, I'm the best. Like, fuck you. Right. No. Like, in a way, I want her. Here's the thing. I'm going to be a dead ass. I would love this. It'd be hilarious to me. They talking this. She's talking that big game. She's got a level of arrogance with that power.
She does. And
I'm telling you, I would love it in the same way that Hulk got his shit kicked in.
Well, here's the thing for me, because Bruce is still around. That's the thing. I really want to see that come full circle. I want Hulk to be like, no, fuck this shit.
No, dude. I'm telling you, I want Professor Hulk.
Yeah.
Doc Green shit. I'm telling you that's cool. Where the shit's been going.
We'll see. Well, I want him to like now that the shit's really hitting the fan. Who do you think? Dude, somebody's got to die permanently, right? Somebody. I think a core Avenger has to die.
I think it's gonna be Tony, man. Personally,
I honestly, I think that we're probably gonna see. I honestly thought that Cap wasn't even gonna make it this far. I predicted that Cap was maybe even gonna die in Civil War.
So that's the thing. I could either. Well, I don't blame you for thinking that because in the actual.
Of course, that's the way it happens in the comics. I literally thought that like that was going to be a thing. Like they were just going to recreate that scene from the comics.
Easily could have done it. Thing is, like, either death would like hurt. Either be Cap or Tony.
Both of them have sort of like, I mean, it's gotten to the point now where we have to kind of pass the torch a little bit.
Oh, of course.
With the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, are we really going to keep, at a certain point, it's like, how many more movies are we going to get with, Steve Rogers and Tony Stark?
Yeah, so it's like, who's going to be the next face of the MCU? Right. From rumors, it's going to be Brie Larson as Captain Marvel.
Right.
I'm not sold on that, but whatever.
It's going to be really interesting to see like where we go with these Marvel movies moving forward, and like, and it's. I mean, it's possible that Captain Marvel is our first kind of like taste of where we're going from here.
Oh, that's not a good taste.
I really sort of hope, and this is like pie in the sky, and I don't think they're going to do this, but I would love it if I have long said that like I really want to see Kang the Conqueror represented on film.
Oh, dude, that'd be awesome.
I think he's probably the single coolest villain that the Avengers fight. Like, I love him, and that would pave the way for a great Young Avengers movie.
And Lord knows how much you love the Young Avengers.
I love the Young Avengers. That Young Avengers run is so fucking good. And it would be really cool to see them represent that on film and to work the Young Avengers into the fold for a new team. I don't know what they're gonna do. I really don't. I don't know if they're like the Avengers movies we kind of have to be at a standstill now.
Well, at this point, yeah. Because at this point, they have to, after the Endgame, they got to, like, build up another thing.
Another group.
Yeah.
Because we can pass the torch all we want. I mean, even if it's, like, a simple, like...
It's like not even, like, another... They got to build up another team. They also got to build up another threat.
Right. Yeah, it might just be, like, solo Marvel movies for a little while. That's interesting. That's such an interesting problem.
It's a weird thing. I think after Endgame, well, they even said like they're gonna slow down like heavily, like after Homecoming.
I don't believe that.
Oh, we'll see. That's what they said.
They make too much money, dude. I don't believe that for a second. I think they're just trying to figure it out. Honestly, yeah. I think they're just gonna have to figure it out.
Well, back to the Captain Marvel talk.
Yeah, a little tangent there for a second. I'm trying to think of if there's not a whole hell of a lot to spoil here. I really thought
I'll say this. I'm happy there was some Nirvana.
Oh, the little "Come As You Are" scene.
Yeah,
that
was good shit. That was good shit.
That was cool. I liked the moment of her, like, of her sort of like realizing that the kind of stuff. It wasn't that they were granting her the power; they're actually inhibiting her power.
Yeah.
And I liked that. There's there's some, again, there's good parts.
There's good parts of that movie, and then just
there are pieces of that movie that I really like. I wish that it would have made a cohesive whole that I liked more than I did.
Honestly, I don't think the movie, just the way it was just framed with like all the amnesia flashback shit. I don't think it could ever be a cohesive movie.
I think it was a weak script. Honestly, I think it was the acting. Fine. I wish I would have got more out of Brie Larson or whatever, but I liked her overall. I just a weak fucking script. They could have done a lot more. I honestly wish that they had played into the Skrull invasion even heavier, if anything. Yeah. Is that really like, because there are other stories with the Skrulls that are way more in depth than this. Is that really going to be the extent of the Skrull invasion that we get in the MCU?
It's like 5 dudes. No.
Yeah, just like 5 dudes. Like. Is this the extent of it? Are we never going to see, like, the fucking, like, secret invasion and all that? We're never going to see that?
That was the secret invasion. It was so secret.
That was the fucking secret invasion of, like, 5 fucking Skrulls that, were disguised as Beach Boys?
I'll say that the one thing that actually... I'll say this. The comedy in the movie was pretty decent.
Yeah, it was funny. It was funny.
It has some funny shit, like his science guy. That shit had me.
Yeah. Yeah, that was funny. No. It again, good movie, not a great movie. Definitely on the lower end of my Marvel spectrum, personally.
I'd love to do a revisit to our ranking, maybe after Endgame.
Maybe after Endgame comes out, do another updated ranking of the Marvel films. Dan was even telling me, like, I was texting him and I was like, yeah, this is probably my like least favorite Marvel origin movie, and he's like, I like it better than Hulk. I'm like, I actually don't even know. I think I actually might like Hulk better. Like,
now, which Hulk are we talking about?
Like the Incredible Hulk, like the one that's technically canon.
No, yes, the Norton one. No,
it's weird because like it's
maybe
hard.
I'm biased because I don't know. I do think the Hulk movie's better personally.
I think it's better as a movie for sure. I mean, as far as the origin goes, whatever. But it's weird. I forget about that movie because Marvel kind of forgets about that movie.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, this kind of has meandered into a discussion about Marvel in general, so I think we should wrap it up.
You definitely should.
Captain Marvel, good, not great. Liked it, didn't love it. It is what it is.
That right there, that's the tagline for the movie.
Yeah, put that on the back of the box, right? It is what it is, Nerd Bourbon. Anyway, anything else you want to add, Todd?
I think that's about it, man.
Thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you next time. Get fucking dunked on. Bye.
See ya.
Hey there. Thanks for checking out another fantastic Nerd Bourbon video. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, be sure to go ahead and subscribe. Leave us a like. Drop us a nice comment, or I guess a mean one if that's your prerogative. But until next time, get dunked on.